Hello students, we have covered the chapter nervous system. Today we will be discussing the question and answers at the end of this chapter. So let us start. Choose the correct options. 1. What prevents the weakening of impulses as they travel through the axon? Nodes of Ranvier, myelin sheath, dendrites, soma. You can pause the video, try to guess the answer, and then you can get back to know what is the right answer. What prevents the weakening of impulses as they travel through the axon? The answer is the myelin sheath. So you know that the structure of the neuron, it consists of the cell body followed by the axon, okay, and they are the nerve fibers. So the cell body has the dendrites, okay, has the nucleus, and this long fiber in between is called the axon. It is covered by a membrane which is called the myelin sheath, right? It is covered by a membrane called the myelin sheath. So this myelin sheath, it provides the insulation, okay, because you know that the electrical impulse is carried through the neuron. So electrical impulse is nothing but a charge. So when this charge is passing through this axon, in the immediate environment there will be other ions. These ions can interfere with this charge, okay. So we need some kind of insulation. That insulation is provided by the myelin sheath, okay. So this myelin sheath will prevent the weakening of the impulses as they move through the axon. Next question. Which of the following parts of the brain controls the balance and body postures? Cerebrum, cerebellum, medulla oblongata, parietal lobe. The answer is cerebellum. When we look at the structure of the brain, okay, this is the cerebrum, this is the cerebellum, okay, the one that is behind the, and then you have the medulla oblongata, okay. So the cerebellum, this behind the brain portion, is responsible for the balance and body postures, okay. Next, the gray matter of the spinal cord consists of cell bodies of the neurons, dendrites of the neurons, axons of the neurons, both A and B. The answer is both A and B. The dendrites of the neurons are nothing but the membrane extensions of the cell body, okay. They are not anything different. They are the extensions of the cell membrane of the cell body. So therefore you may recollect that when we are looking at the structure of the spinal cord, so there is a butterfly shape structure at the center, okay. This is a gray in color, okay. This cross section of the spinal cord, this gray color one is consists mainly of the cell body and dendrites, okay. The outer region, this is the of the spinal cord, is white in color. It is white in color because of the presence of the myelin sheath, okay. This sheath, the myelin sheath, gives that characteristic white color, okay. Next question. How many cranial nerves arise from the brain? It is a direct question. 12 cranial nerves arise from the brain and 31 arise from the spinal nerves. Okay, cranial nerves and spinal nerves. 12 cranial nerves, 31 spinal nerves. Which of the following terms means a change in the external environment that evokes a specific reaction in the body? Response, effector, stimulus, receptor. The answer is response. So when there is a change in the external environment, okay, we call that as a stimulus. Okay, that is the stimulus. It is going to stimulate the nervous system. How? Through the receptors on the sensory organs. Okay, and that change that is going to result from such a stimulus is the response, specific response of the body. Okay, next, the gaps between the myelin sheaths are known as nodes of Ranvier. Human beings have dash pair of spinal nerves, 31 pairs. Okay, 12 pairs of cranial nerves, 31 pairs of spinal nerves. Dash are the extensions of the cell body of the neuron. That is the dendrites. Okay, so dendrites are the membrane extensions of the cell body of the neuron. The chemicals released during the transmission of impulses or impulse are called neurotransmitters. Okay, neurotransmitters. The spinal cord is the extension of the dash of the brain, medulla oblongata. Okay, medulla oblongata. Cranial and spinal nerves are a part of the dash nervous system, central nervous system. Okay, the central nervous system consists of the brain and the spinal cord. So therefore the cranial and the spinal nerves are part of the central nervous system. Match the following. Myelin sheath. Myelin sheath is the covering of the axon. Okay. Dendrites. Dendrites are extensions of the stoma of the neuron. Okay, soma is nothing but the cell body. Meninges, they are the protective layer of the brain. Spinal cord, they are involved in this reflex action. Correct? Reflex action means what? The impulse is not going all the way up to the brain, but it will come to the spinal cord and the result will be sent through the motor neuron. So remain is axons. The axons are going to transmit the impulses to another neuron. Okay. Define the nervous system. The nervous system is the system that is required for the control and coordination of the various parts of the body. Okay, control and coordination. Name the parts of a neuron. Okay, you can do it. That is the cell body, axon, dendrites. What is the function of the sensory neurons? Sensory neurons are going to get the stimulus. Okay, whatever stimulus is coming, that stimulus will be received by the sensory neurons, and it will be the message as an electrical impulse will be sent up to the spinal cord. Okay, what is the function of the cerebrospinal fluid? Okay, cerebrospinal fluid act as a shock absorber. Okay, so brain and all these nerves are soft tissue, right? So if they are not inside a fluid kind of environment, then this all bones and all are very hard structures, right? So then they can get damaged. So for that not to happen, there has to be some kind of a fluid, that is the cerebrospinal fluid. Name any two functions of the spinal cord. Of course, the spinal cord is going to connect the brain, okay, to rest of the body. So the messages will go up to the brain and from the brain to the different organs. Okay, and also the spinal cord can process certain information. Okay, so that is known as the reflex action. Differentiate between the cranial nerves and the spinal nerves. Okay, cranial nerves are arising from the brain. Okay, 12 pairs are there, and they are going to stimulate the various sensory organs like hearing, sight. Okay, the spinal nerves are originating from the spinal cord. There are 31 pairs, and they are going to affect the various organs of the body. What is the reflex action? Reflex action is an involuntary response. Okay, involuntary response, sudden involuntary response to a given stimulus. With the help of a well diagram, explain the structure of the motor neuron. It's given in your textbook. You can refer it. Define the following terms with respect to the reflex action, that is the impulse, stimulus, response, receptor, effector. Okay, please, these are all terms are highlighted in your textbook. Please read them well. Okay, what is the reflex arc? Okay, the diagram is represented. We have also discussed that in our previous video. Okay. Okay, and what are the types of neurons? Sensory neuron, motor neuron, interneuron, what are their functions? Okay, sensory neurons are going to take the impulse due to the stimulus up to the spinal cord. Okay, and then the interneurons are going to connect the sensory neurons with the motor neurons. Okay, the motor neurons, what they are going to do, the motor neurons are going to connect to the final target organ, how they have to respond to the stimulus. Label the following parts of the diagram and write the functions. Okay, this is the frontal lobe. Okay, so I suggest you do this one because it is an important part of your writing practice. Okay, so you need to do a very good writing practice. You will have questions in your examination from labeling the diagram and so on. Okay, so please practice this question. The frontal lobe, parietal lobe, okay, occipital, okay, cerebellum, medulla oblongata, temporal lobe. Okay, in this way, and what are the functions, you can revise all of these. Same thing is with the structure of the neuron. Okay, these are all the dendrites, the axon, the myelin sheath on the top. The gaps in this one are known as the nodes of Ranvier. Okay, and this is the neuromuscular junction. Okay, so with this we are covering this chapter, and from our next class we will be having the live classes. Okay, please revise this chapter well. Okay, solve the questions by yourself as well. Thank you.